Why? Why no multiplayer? It's weird, right? Or is that just me? How come there's a Dragon Ball game coming out in 2020 and it doesn't have multiplayer? Multiplayer was such a big trend a few years ago. Everything went multiplayer to the point that now everyone just assumes that multiplayer will be a part of the game, and when it's not, you actually have to say, no, this is single player only. I mean, even Electronic Arts said single player games were dead. While EA can be ridiculous in their statements, the trend can't really be ignored. Fans love multiplayer. Turns out, people like playing video games with other people. And Bandai Namco is known for playing it pretty safe when it comes to anime games. They're not big risk takers. So why is there no multiplayer in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot? The answer to that question is brought to you by otakucharms.com. They are an online store that sells anime-inspired streetwear, accessories, and more. Their Dragon Ball collection includes a lot of different shirts with awesome and unique designs. There are a lot of hoodies as well, and accessories like the Goku Black Time Ring, which is currently on sale. They always have something on sale, so even if you've been to this website before, maybe it's worth another look. Personally, I've been eyeing this Broly figure for a while. It would look so good on my background. I might just pull the trigger now that it's on sale. If you're low on cash, they've got the section with items under 10 bucks, and the prices that you see on screen are all that you pay because they ship worldwide for free. No shipping costs at all. Buy it, get it, no additional fees. It's like walking into a store and getting something off the shelf, except you don't have to leave your house. It's the best of both worlds. And if you do decide to buy something, use promo code Globku at checkout for 10% off anything you purchase. That is promo code Globku and you get 10% off anything you purchase. Thank you for sponsoring this video. I actually came up with 3 very good reasons for this game to not have any multiplayer at all. And when I started research on this topic, I didn't think I was gonna find much, but now I've got 3 pretty solid reasons. And the first one is that it would just make the project way too expensive. The way they talk about this game, this is not just going to be the Dragon Ball story. There's going to be an insane amount of content. And think about it, the demo showed us this huge area that you can already see a couple of side quests on, a bunch of side activities on, and you haven't even fought Raditz yet. You can already spend a good chunk of time before you even fight the first proper boss fight in Dragon Ball Z. Last time around, we were talking about how much story this game would cover, and we concluded that it's going to go at least until the Cell Saga, potentially or possibly even the Buu Saga. If between every major Dragon Ball fight, we have a big area like this to explore, to complete side quests on, to do side activities, then yes, the amount of content in this game is going to be bonkers. And that's something they brought up a few times during interviews.
I think there's 3 distinct elements, and of course, as you mentioned, there's been a lot of Dragon Ball games in the past, a lot of different interpretations of it. The very first thing I would like to mention, though, is the sheer volume that this game has in terms of content. So I want to first begin by saying it's really hard to kind of quantify, you know, how expansive this world is going to be.
そうですね。本作差別化特徴としての3つあると思ってまして、まず1つはですね、圧倒的なまずはボリュームでの物語の追体験になっています。名場面や原作の細かい詩はもちろんなんですけれど。
So if we are to believe that this game will truly be flourishing with content, then maybe multiplayer would be too much. When adding multiplayer to a game, there are a lot of costs associated with it. You need a server infrastructure that players can connect to. You need to develop a good netcode so players won't be lagging all the time. And you need the time to balance out characters in order for you to not have a completely broken game. And game balance takes an incredible amount of time. Something they're happy to talk about in interviews, how broken they can make this game since it is a single player experience.
And as far as the sort of battle design and balance, I think a lot of the recent games have all been very focused on the PvP side of the game design. With this being an action RPG, there's going to be way more. In fact, you know, it's all going to be PvE, and you're fighting against NPCs. So the conditions may not always be equal on a fair playing field. So some enemies might barrage you with ki blasts, or for example, Nappa has this massive explosion attack. So these boss fights have been carefully sculpted and designed to highlight the difference in strength between your opponent and Goku. So I think in that regard, the battle feel is going to be quite different.
RPG ならではのバトルになっています。で、ここ数年間ドラゴンボールゲームなんですけれども、基本的には対プレイヤーを意識したバトルシステムを考えていました。ですが、今作は当然アクション RPG ですので、相手はプレイヤーではなくて NPC になるんですね。 で NPC ということはですね、ある意味相手との条件というのが必ずしも対等ではなくてですね、例えばなんですけれども
Adding multiplayer would cost a lot of time and resources, which these guys may not have. I mean, they have the resources. It is a Dragon Ball game. They definitely have the resources. But maybe simply they don't want to spend the time and the resources in adding multiplayer. After all, there are other reasons why multiplayer shouldn't be added to Kakarot. If the game had multiplayer, it would just be Xenoverse, but worse. Whoa! Controversial! No, really, I actually think that. Obviously, the focus of Kakarot is very different from Xenoverse. One focuses on telling the Goku story, putting you in Goku's shoes and living his day-to-day life, while the other focuses on an online experience where you create your own character, you interact with everyone from the Dragon Ball universe in sort of a unique way, and Xenoverse has a story mode, but you could argue that that's not the game's focus. The focus is on building this RPG experience where your character gets stronger the more you play, you learn your favorite moves, you mix and match them however you'd like, and once you're happy, you get to play in different online activities. It's an online-focused game with a lot of DLC potential. DLC that has been realized over the last couple of years. If you try to create this online experience in Kakarot, first of all, you don't have a setting that's as rich or as freeing as Xenoverse, because you are tied to the Z story, and Xenoverse, while they can pull from Z, they can also pull from an infinite amount of parallel realities. And this makes Xenoverse a live game with endless DLC possibilities, regular updates, regular events. And if you try to implement multiplayer in Kakarot, it's just not gonna be as rich as Xenoverse. Let's be honest, Xenoverse has set the bar real high when it comes to regular updates, and with the focus of Kakarot being the story, it's only natural that the game's post-launch DLC focuses on single-player experiences, which if you have online multiplayer in your game and release single-player DLC, you're just asking for the multiplayer to die. If you can't focus development time on balance patches, on content updates to keep your online game alive, then it is just not going to thrive. And if it's not going to thrive, maybe not having a multiplayer mode in the first place is actually the best choice. This way, the focus is 100% on the single player experience, and you can focus on making that as good as it can be, instead of having to split development resources throughout the game's lifespan between a single player team and a multiplayer team. The combat system could totally lend itself to a Xenoverse style multiplayer, but if that game already exists, why are we making another one? And on top of that, one that doesn't have as many options as Xenoverse has. Going single player is what will end up distinguishing this game, and more importantly, what will keep it from competing with Xenoverse. Which brings us to our third topic: competition. Bandai Namco currently has a few active Dragon Ball games, and by active I mean games that they're still updating and still have a large player base. The big three games right now are Dragon Ball Legends, Xenoverse 2, and Dragon Ball FighterZ. I guess Dokkan could also be in that conversation. To be honest, I just don't know. But I bet it's still making them a ton of money. All of these games are fairly unique. Even Xenoverse and FighterZ, which are both online multiplayer focused games, have very different audiences with very different players. So these two end up not competing with each other simply because they are two completely different genres. Giving Dragon Ball Z Kakarot an online experience would put it in direct competition with Xenoverse 2, because you'd be developing a Dragon Ball RPG with online functionality. Even if they couldn't deliver the regular content updates that Xenoverse 2 does, being the newest Dragon Ball game would take away from the Xenoverse 2 player base, so Bandai would essentially be competing with themselves and potentially losing out on the cash cow that Xenoverse 2 is, because Kakarot has its single player focus and wouldn't sell as much multiplayer DLC as Xenoverse does. I don't think Kakarot would compete directly with Dragon Ball FighterZ or any of the mobile games, but the fact that we have Xenoverse in this world makes it so there's no space for multiplayer in Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. A lot of this video is my personal opinion. These are my thoughts as someone who's covered the gaming industry for a few years now, but of course I could always be missing something. So let me know what you think of this whole thing. Do you think Kakarot could have multiplayer and still thrive without hurting Xenoverse 2? I would love to know what you think. Don't forget to check out otakucharms.com and use promo code Globku at checkout for 10% off anything you purchase. And as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.